Yeah, dig really slowly there, Becca, okay?
Yeah, I'm actually going to move.
You might have a feature there.
Yeah. When did you find those?
I found these today. Yeah. Yesterday we had 2 microblades over here, obsidian microblades, so it's kind of the same area.
This is the first bone I've gotten since I started, so now I know what it looks like. It's definitely my first excavation, so I'm learning.
Definitely a cool piece. It's got a little use wear on it too as well, so it's definitely been used.
When you find something like that, it makes you feel like you're not wasting your time.
My 2 TAs are carefully considering and plotting and strategizing the next move, and they're very helpful in the excavation. Certainly could not do it alone with this many people. Logistically, it's a complex undertaking, and the site is relatively difficult to dig because of the depth. So it's going to be over 2 meters deep. So keeping everything under control as you go down is a complicated thing. These guys are learning, so they're learning at the top, and by the time they're getting to the bottom, they're in good shape. So part of the intent of these kinds of field schools is to have students prepared to be professional archaeologists, to work in a cultural resource management setting. So at the end of it, they really get a sense of if archaeology is for them, and most are like, yeah, absolutely, this is great. And this thing is pretty neat. It looks as if it might be a hearth. This is what the sediment should look like here. So the fact that we're finding all of this charcoal, plus we're finding flakes in direct association, really helps inform us that this is probably a cultural feature. And so she's going to expose it further to the north and see what else she finds. Hopefully the rest of the biface. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, the materials are debris, but the debris from tool manufacture and maintenance tells us more than the tools themselves sometimes. If you have tiny, tiny flakes, that's all you find. They're pressure flakes. They're resharpening a tool. If you find larger flakes, maybe with Cortex, maybe with the bifacial edge, maybe they were thinning bifaces from a blank that came in. So from that we can infer what came into the site, what state the tools were in, and then what left the site. Becky right here and Kelsey found a lot of material. You can see the pink flagging on toothpicks represent where the individual items have been found. And you have your obsidian microblade still there?
I have a bunch actually.
So this is an example of the kind of material that we're finding. This beautiful obsidian microblade technology. And what's interesting about this technology is that it really links us with Asia. It really is a common technological adaptation in Northeast Asia and Japan, Korea, Russian Far East. And it extends only into Alaska, Beringia, and a little bit into northern Canada, but it stops there. We found in Siberia, we actually have an impact of a slotted point on a mammoth vertebrae. So it went in through the hair, through the skin, through the hide, through the fat, through the muscle, all the way into the bone. And sure enough, a microblade was still stuck in the wall of it. So these things are quite lethal. That was the long one. Yeah, that's the short one. The reason why this is an open area excavation is because we want to look at site organization and site structure. How were people locating themselves? What activities did they have? And how did those activities vary across an occupation surface? One of the key things is we identify features. So, hearths, people position themselves relative to hearths. You don't pick up a hearth and move it. You kind of do things there. We have 3 hearths at the lowest level so far, around 13.3, which is not the lowest, but the lowest that we have features. We just found the older one last year, so we're still kind of putting it in our psyche. But we have 9 features in a Younger Dryas level, which is around 12,300 or so years before present. And some of them are exposed. We should be digging maybe 4 of them this year. So all of this is really geared at understanding social organization, people's use of space, use of landscape, and variation across the site. Because one thing we've learned with many of these excavations is if you sample in small areas, you could get really different signals, and we really want to identify what's contemporaneous, and then we can really get at things like who were here. What is, men, women, and children together, maybe just men, maybe a larger social grouping, maybe a smaller social grouping. These are the things that really drive a lot of our research.